Welcome to the Performance Matters Podcast with your hosts, Matrix Ferreira and Miles Methner, brought to you by Iron Performance Center.
Hot start. Hot start on the Performance Matters Podcast. Coach Matrix here with Coach Aiden. First off, a big shout out to our sponsor, Pete Photography, the premier sports photographer in the Niagara region. Can be contacted, www.petemethnerphotography.com. Of course, support local. Maybe they want like winter photos or something taken in this blizzard. I don't know what's going on. If for those that don't know, like down here in Niagara, like it's not really a place that gets, I would say, extremely cold in the winter. We have our fair share of winters, but a polar vortex apparently the past week came through and just Toronto got smoked.
Well, wasn't Ontario or Southern Ontario, Canada, I don't know, our region, the coldest place on the globe a week ago or something like that?
Yeah, like some parts of Canada were like in one of the coldest places apparently in the world. It was like some Siberian, I don't know.
Tourists are welcome.
It's really gonna, the tourist industry is gonna be booming.
Jeez.
Like I know they always say like people like, again, I don't like snow. I hate winter with a passion. But some people like apparently love winter, but I think we've talked about before. Fucking choking on the frigidness.
Your own saliva turns to ice.
It just becomes like an ice cube.
Yeah.
I think people like winter because like you go to snowboarding and skiing, and then people say like it's very whimsical. But again, that was at the holidays. But people like snowboard. I'm like, you're going to go outside like negative 25-degree weather and
There's no way you're having fun. All right, you have fun for like 30 seconds down a hill, then you gotta freeze your ass off getting back up.
It makes no sense to me. Someone's like, hey, do you want to go snowboarding? I'm like, I think I'd rather go do anything else. I think I would rather go do anything else. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's fun. It's not my thing, but like I've been skiing before and it's fun. I've been skiing in like negative sub-double-digit Celsius weather. Like
I don't care what kind of face you put on. That's not fun.
It's not fun. I don't know. You could bundle the hell up, but then you're just like a walking marshmallow.
I'll be honest too. I hate the snow. I don't really see anything it's good for. It makes everything messy. It makes driving harder, walking harder. Just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
What do people say? Well, we don't have alligators. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have killer insects.
How often are they really impeded by those things, though? Like snow is a universal annoyance to anybody who lives in Canada.
I think Australians are doing pretty good.
They're doing all right.
Yeah, Australians are doing pretty good. And my thing is this is like, we're warm-blooded creatures. You know what I mean? You could put us in the hottest deserts, and we have a higher survival rate. We could last, let's say a day or two. Like let's assume you have sufficient water and sufficient food. You can put us in a freaking desert, right? Like 40, 50 degrees Celsius hot, right? And we would survive a couple days.
We'll find a way.
In the ice, you wouldn't last 2 minutes.
Half a day at the very most.
And just being on point, your water would be frozen and your food would be frozen. Right? Now,
good luck.
The bright side is like you're not going to get sick because bacteria and viruses can't survive in the cold. You would just die instead.
Cool, man. Fun.
That's my
everyone has that argument. Oh, would you rather be too hot or too cold?
I'd rather be too hot.
Same.
I'd rather be too hot.
Everyone always says, "Hey, oh man, you're cold. Just throw another layer. And when you're hot, what are you gonna do?" Yeah, but I can at least I can live with myself in extreme heat.
Yep.
and it just like affects everyone's mood too. You're cold. Everyone's just angry, balled up in a little ball. You're just mad at everything just because it's cold. You're cold. I'm cold.
But like put in perspective, it's like. Past summer, our AC malfunctioned. So, like, our house got to, like, 30, 31 degrees Celsius. Very uncomfortable, hot, right? But you know what? You know what didn't happen? The pipes didn't burst. And the house didn't.
Everything else worked.
The house didn't freeze. Things are fine.
Everything else works.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you freaking shut the heat off in your house right now, your pipe's going to burst, and then the water would leak, and you have an indoor skating rink.
Yeah.
You would have an indoor. It's like Elsa from Frozen just walks through and sang "Let It Go, bitch."
And also you're cold. All those things happen, and also you're freezing your ass off.
Fucking cold. It makes no sense to me. So, but hey, the way I look at it right now is like, okay, we're like tail end of January, which, we always talk to our athletes and stuff too. It's like, hey, we got to prepare for those cold, dark days of, don't show me October, November, show me January.
Right.
Which it's ironic because like sometimes it's kind of, like we're seeing a smaller group show up sometimes for, I get it, exams or anything else, but we'll talk about that later. But it's like, this is what we're talking about. Like, it's just, it takes a toll. It is taxing. You know what I mean? Like, it is frigid. It's hard to function when you go outside and the air hurts your face. It's very hard to, like, now, again, I think,
It just sucks your motivation.
it does. You know what I mean? And it's okay to acknowledge that. And of course, it's like, hey, like, if you're still finding a way to show up, great. Like, that's kind of like the positive silver linings. Like, hey, you're finding a way to overcome that obstacle. That is, I mean, putting in perspective, everyone's suffering through it. You know what I mean? But my hanging lights, okay, we're at the tail end of January. You might have 6 more weeks of awful, and then, like, there's hope. You know what I mean? Maybe sooner. You know, like, I think if you had like 1 or 2 days in a row that's above 0 degrees, like, hey, that's hopeful. Like, I'll get rid of most, a good chunk of snow. You know what I mean? Like,
put a smile on my face.
You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, like I do not want to. The air doesn't hurt my face today. That's nice.
The days are already getting longer. You see a little more sunlight, a minute here, a minute there.
The way I look at it, folks, is like, look at it this way. This is my positive optimism. We've survived the 10 darkest weeks of winter. If that makes everyone feel any better, right? The 10 darkest weeks of winter are done, and now we're getting closer to spring, equal daylight. It's looking positive. We just have to suffer the tundra that is Ontario right now. And I guess it could be worse. It could be in, like, Manitoba, where it's like, or Saskatchewan, where it's just...
Where is it they get like an hour or two of sunlight every day? Is that New Zealand, something like that? Oh, man.
There are definitely worse places where it's like, oh, yeah, you have 90 days of night. I think it was like some Alaska thing.
Yeah.
Did you make a movie about that? Like some vampire thing was like...
They tried, but there wasn't enough light.
BYOL. Bring
your own light source.
Bring your own light source. It's fine. So, again, now, kind of like stacking on that point, when we're talking about, like, the cold, dark days of January, because, again, like, heading into February for a lot of universities, we're getting close to playoffs now, right? Playoffs are showing up, and as miserable as it can be in the weather, our athletes still got things to do. Which my message to them is, hey, for high school athletes, but especially because they're finishing up exams right now, starting a new semester, it's like, I get it. You have a lot on your plate, you have a lot to balance. But again, we've talked about these things beginning of season, throughout the season, like, hey, winter's coming. And that second half of season is going to be in the cold, dark days, right? So it's like, we have to kind of trudge through the misery and be prepared for it. Like, let's be real. This is not unexpected. You know what I mean? Like, we knew this was coming, and we have to not be tolerant of excuses, essentially.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we have exams, so people are saying, oh, I can't show because I have to study. Like, okay, you and everyone else. Okay, totally, yeah, I get it. But to me, I again, there are a lot of excuses you can use. Like, there's going to be things that might be out of your control. Like, okay, our car broke down. That sucks. Yes, I get it. Okay, then my rebuttal will be like, okay, your car broke down. You couldn't show up today. When are you showing up again? Yeah, like, make it up.
What did you do about it?
Yeah, what'd you do about it? What are you going to do to make it up? Okay, I can come in tomorrow. Great, let's come in tomorrow. Get the work done. Right? But if you're missing for, like, I have to study, to me, that is insulting. Forget me as a coach. Like, that would be insulting as a teammate. Because, like, if you have a team of 12 guys or girls, and, like, let's say 7 show up, 5 are missing. Let's say all 5 of them or whatever had to study. Right. I'm like, well, what about the 7 athletes that did show up? They don't have to study.
They put in work, yeah.
Like, they have exams, they have things going on, projects to do as well, but they still showed up. They made the time to show up. It's like, that is not a valid excuse. Like, that is poor time management, which, again, like, it's a whole other topic. Poor time management. And honestly, that's just a bullshit validation to make yourself feel better. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this exam is important. Like, okay, but you made it come into the team. That's the whole point of, like, hey, if you're going to do, not, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about this elite mentality and this elite mantra. It's like, well, the whole point of being elite or superior to, if you want to call it that, to the regular population.
The people that
the
don't
norm,
make it,
the general, the ones that don't do it. It's like, well, you have something on top of the normal things you're supposed to do. And you have to do both. Like,
everybody was busy studying.
Everyone's busy studying.
What did you do about it?
You know what I mean? Like, you committed to the team, and a part of committing to the team is you're showing up to practice, you're showing up to training, you're doing the things to, because again, maybe some of them want to go post-secondary. It's like, well, they just don't hand those out. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to do this and university schooling or college schooling or whatever on top of your varsity career. And, like, you're going to have to travel and do all these things, and no one's going to be hand-holding for you. Like, you're an adult. So it's like, at the high school age, you're like, hey, you have to learn how to manage your time. It's like, hey, I have an exam tomorrow. I got practice tonight. It's like, well, I can't miss practice for studying. Just don't make it an option, right?
You knew these exams were coming.
You knew these.
You haven't scheduled it. Like you knew exams are coming at the end of the semester. You knew these are coming. You still had practice. You still had games. Still had priorities. Manage them.
And then like here's a simple solution. Like, okay, I will study an hour before I go, or I will stay up an hour later and study after. Like that's the sacrifice you have to make. Like it has to get done. You know what I
Free
mean?
time before. Sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit of that.
You make time.
Yeah.
Like my advice to anyone, right? Like my advice to anyone who, whether you're an athlete or non-athlete or not, right? Let's say practice is mandatory. It's like, for example, like athletes will treat practice like it's an appointment. Like, hey, I have an appointment at 8 o'clock till 10. That's my practice appointment. You committed, right? Like you treat practice like an appointment. Treat training like an appointment too.
Why is it any less?
Why is it like treat training like an appointment? Essentially saying protect your calendars. Like, hey, this is this, this is this. These are my appointments. I'm showing up. So then you kind of build your ecosystem around that, right? It's not something you could just skip out on. And again, I get it. Unforeseen circumstances happen. But then my rebuttal will be again like, well, how are you going to make it up? Like it still has to get done. If it can't get done today for whatever reason that might be unprecedented, that is out of your control, you have control to do something about it and make it up.
It's unfortunate. You have a plan. You're trying to stick to it. These things happen, and it does mess up your schedule. But then that is where you become an adult. You have to deal with these situations as they come and reorganize yourself.
Yeah, like what do you want to do to adapt? No different than how we as coaches have to adapt certain things. Like someone gets hurt, someone gets sick. So, okay, we have to adapt our own things to get things done. It's a two-way street for athletes. Like, hey, you also have to adapt. Like things will go wrong. We talk about that too. Like things will go wrong. And the first thing we have to do is figure out, well, what are we going to do about it? Okay, I can't make it here because my car broke down. Okay, understandable. So today's a write-off, right? So what about tomorrow or the next day? Can we make up? Like if you have 2 training sessions a week, right? You missed one, so it's like 50% of your opportunity is gone. You have to get that opportunity in this week. Okay, get that opportunity in this week. Rebook anytime. Like reach out, communicate, ask for help, collaborate. Boom, we can. There's a solution for every problem, right? But you have to be open to being curious of how to find the solution, not just default back to, well, I can't. This is the reason why I done.
This sucks, yeah.
I'll try it next time, next week. You're like, well, this is going to parallel a lot of things are going to go wrong in a lot of other avenues. I'm very curious how that kind of.
Well, it's opportunity as well, It's not going to be the first thing that, like you said, something's going to go wrong. This is practice to see how you actually treat these unforeseen circumstances and how you go about it going forward.
I just don't think it's a valid excuse. And again, I think sometimes excuses, at the end of the day, I'm very objective about things. It's like, I get it. So what? Like, what do you want to do about it? That's my first thing. Someone says they have a problem. It's typically going to be like, well, what are you going to do about it? Now, it's not always like that harsh a tone, but at the fundamental, I kind of like the deep root of it. It's going to be like, well, what do you want to do about it? It's like, okay, I heard your piece. Yep, that sucks. Totally get it. Like, I empathize with you. But now we have to kind of flip the switch and be like, well, solutions-driven mindset now. What do we want to do about this problem? Right? So I think that's a pretty fundamental thing we have to keep having our athletes wrap their heads around. You know what I mean? Especially because winter's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
it's going to be forever.
It's like
almost anywhere you go, it's going to be something you got to deal with.
Yeah, and our opponents are not any different, right? They got weather to deal with too, and I'm sure they're finding a way. And anything else, like train like your opponents are finding a way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like have that inner demon to compete. You know what I mean? Like, and you can see the differences in certain teams. Like we had like our one guys team yesterday. Like they all showed up and they were getting after it. Those guys were doing phenomenal work. Big shout out to our Shockwaves boys. Like those guys were crushing it. And they have exams. Like they have things going on, and they still show up, and they had practice that night. So it's like they still have things going on. So
they know this is a priority. They know this is something they have to do every single week, twice a week.
It's just ingrained in them in their ecosystem. It's like they treat practice and training like appointments that they protect their calendar. Like it doesn't matter what's going on. Like this is just my schedule. This is what I do because this is what I want. Right? I want to win the OVA. I want to win this. Great. Right? So it's like we have to make that kind of ingrained in a lot of our athletes. And maybe it's not for everyone, but if you're looking to pursue high-level sport, it really is a skill, I think, that, some people should kind of practice and not just talk about, because I think a lot of times it's just a lot of words, and we're kind of falling back to that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's not that obvious to some people. Maybe it's not like as apparent that this needs to be done. This needs to be a priority. This needs to be accounted for every single week. This is something that you can just be loaded into the schedule here and there. But like you said, people are already messaging asking for times they can't make it up. And
Yep.
those, you can actually see a difference in those that are really trying to course correct and find a way to get it done.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess kind of switching gears a little bit here, but we actually had some interesting conversations with a bunch of our people on the gym floor. And some things like went from like general health and wellness, and then something regarding to like rowing. So like Dave's getting ready for the Ontario Ergs, and so is Marissa, which both of them are doing phenomenal work in preparation for end of February. And so like I think, for rowing as an example, I think it's because it's one of those sports that maybe like I think it's getting better. Like a lot of them are training now in the weight room because they realize like rowing obviously being the prime skill, but there's a lot of things you can control that will improve.
Right.
It's no different than how we train for our sprinters. Like, well, we know stride length, stride frequency. Okay, stride length being like output, and then of course relaxing contractions, relax again to then improve the frequency of the stride. Those are all physiological traits that we can kind of like adapt in some way, either in the weight room or through
Be
practice.
monitored, they can be adapted.
Like be quantified. So for rowing, it's like, okay, same concept, but it's like stroke output, stroke rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much force can you put per stroke? How many meters can you travel per stroke? And then of course, like how many strokes per given unit of time can you take? And I think the lowest hanging fruit for a lot of people is going to be the stroke output, right? The force. So it's kind of like, okay, if you travel, let's just use an arbitrary number. Let's say, okay, every stroke you take is 5 meters and you boost that up to 7. So, okay, that means for every stroke you take, you're traveling 2 meters more, right? It compounds and exponentially goes up. So it's like, okay, if that's a possibility, then that is kind of like where the strength training comes in. You're like, hey, we have to produce more force into the erg, right? And of course, the other side of that coin is like, well, how repeatable is it?
Right.
What's the capacity?
Right.
What's the range before the drop off kicks in?
But in that case, you can kind of look at it as like raising the ceiling to up the floor a little bit.
Yeah, right. Like if you have a higher output, you're going to probably drop off. Your drop off will probably be like within a reasonable range. Mm-hmm. Now that's not always the case, but again, even that part is trainable, right? Because again, a lot of rowers will die in like at the third 500, right after the halfway point, typically. Lactic threshold being a big indicator. So okay, so we know that lactic threshold and the watts per kilo output as it goes across time. If you can sustain that before you see a steep drop, where typically they're that like that pain point where it's like, man, I have nothing left to give, like that wall where it's like everything's burning, everything's hurting. I'm pushing as hard as I can, but everything's like kind of just like seized up. Right. So, but it's kind of like, okay, if you know that's going to happen, it's like, but let's say you have the same rate and the same time you're kind of doing it, but you have more meters per stroke. If that kind of catches up, like you're still going to get better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big fundamental thing. I don't think it has to be complicated. You know what I mean? But it's nice to see that. On the other side, as we were talking about more on the health and wellness side of things, it was kind of just like, I think a question was posed like, okay, like you talk about overall health and well-being, because if you've ever read I think it was called Outlive or Outlast or something like that. Who's
that one by?
Peter Attia. Okay. Right? Yeah. Again, maybe controversial on some things, but there's some very good points. Mm-hmm. So like the 4 horsemen of death, as he would call it, right? Yeah. It's neurodegenerative disease, you have cancer, you have cardiovascular disease, and metabolic disease. And there's going to be a lot of factors in this, and like his whole thing was kind of like medicine 2.0 or 3.0, as he calls it, where it's kind of like the proactive side of things. Instead of being so reactive with, I have this problem here, like, okay, now I have to go fix it. It's kind of like, okay, you can have biological markers based on family history. There's a whole bunch of tests they can do and everything else like that, where you can kind of like take your family history and say, okay, you're more prone to this likely happening in your future, but here are some things you can do to delay the inevitable when it does happen, right? And a lot of the common trends circled around pretty common sense things like exercise, nutrition, sleep. Right? Like those are pretty basic things. So then the
doctor will tell you the same thing. Like,
yeah, really, right? So, but then you kind of break that down. So, okay, let's look at the exercise thing, because that's what we're about. Mm-hmm. Strength training or cardiovascular training. Which one are we kind of focusing on?
Well, here as a whole, I think strength training takes a far front foot. But if you're focusing on, I really wouldn't prioritize one or the other, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, but here's the rabbit hole. I know we don't pick one or the other. It's why not both? Both are good. Right. Because they linked it to, and I think this is common knowledge too. If you have a higher VO2 max, your risk of cardiovascular disease goes down. Mm-hmm. Right. So everyone thinks, okay, then I have to improve my cardiovascular fitness, of course. And then, but now the stereotype is, well, it's like running, it's jogging, it's like getting a higher heart rate. lifting weights is to get muscle tissue. It's like, yeah, but it really like strength training and just again, what is strength training? You know what I mean? Like, let's kind of clarify what strength training is. What's the definition of strength? It's force output, max amount of force you can produce. To do that, right, requires contraction of muscle tissue, right? Neurological pathways that signal contraction of tissue, neurological efficiency, motor unit improvement, all that stuff. Right. So it's like, but you can also like strength train and still have cardiovascular fitness improve at the same time. It's like, well, why? Right? Because like blood pressure rises. You might be, gassed while doing the reps itself. Right. Like if you're doing like a 4x8, squat or something,
breathing heavy.
You're breathing heavy after a while because again, you're still exerting.
Right.
Right. And as we know, like, because on the other side of coins, they give like powerlifters that might do like 10 sets of 1, 10 sets of 2. And they have like 3-minute breaks in between, 4-minute breaks. And I get it because that's the thing. But it's like if you improve your recoverability in between sets, you can have more force output. So I think obviously yes, do both, right? Like you could have like 2 strength training days and a cardiovascular day, but don't get it twisted where it's like you're not, there is crossover from the strength training side that improve cardiovascular fitness. I think people kind of try to bucket them separately, but like any physical quality, whether you're looking at power, strength, endurance, there's a lot of crossover. Like if you go deeper down the curve, like strength, speed, strength, you're looking at, rate metrics. There's a lot of crossover. It's hard to isolate one thing in isolation.
Yeah. I would also look at where they started off too. If you have a really strong cardiovascular base and you go into strength training, I feel like one of the limiting factors would not really be your ability to maintain the same output over time.
No. I think for like the general population that, maybe is just doing fitness, stay healthy, which is great. Like strength training, I think is the lowest hanging fruit. You know what I mean? And that's not to say other activities. Like we were talking to Rachel about this too, right? Because people like different things. That's great. I'd say like my thing is like if you're doing nothing, anything is better than nothing. So if you find something you enjoy, if it's cycling, if it's Pilates, if it's rec soccer, that's great. If you're ready to then like have a little more of a finer scope and say, okay, like I want to really like kind of dissect like, well, how do I get the most benefit for my overall fitness? I'd be like, okay, great. So keep doing the things you enjoy doing because that leads to adherence and that will compound over time. It's like, but like if you're looking to kind of elevate that and take it a step further, it's like, yeah, like structured training is going to be a very beneficial component of what you want to do because now it's purposeful, right? We're actually going to focus on some of those things. Like it's not just lifting weights. Like lifting weights, it's been around for, like a century.
It's good for pretty much everybody.
It's good for everybody, you know what I mean, in some regard, because and again, look at the common denominator of what it is. You know what I mean? Like, what is the physiological response to external loading? I'm not saying like 1 or everything, but just in general, external loading of some capacity, right? Like your tissue will have to adapt and then to exert to complete the rep, right? So you have the contraction of the tissue, you have blood pressure going up, cardiovascular fitness is going up. Like all these components are are working simultaneously to complete the objective of the exercise. You know what I mean? Whether you're doing like 4 sets of 5 at a certain intensity, right? Like that will, again, and then you could monitor how much rest you get in between, right? So now it's like, okay, my heart rate went up to 160 after a set of 5. And then like 45 seconds later, it's only gone down to like 140. You're like, okay, well, you're still kind of like, you're still kind of huffing a little bit and you have to go back and do it again. So it's kind of like, okay, that alone is almost like repeat circuit.
Especially if you're monitoring that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's you can bucket it as like, well, is that not crossing the line of like repeat circuit type stuff, or Tabatas or whatever like you want to call it. Like there's so many ways you can organize a strength training session, right? Generally, that you can hammer a lot of these qualities, pretty concurrently.
Simultaneously,
yeah, pretty concurrently. So it doesn't have to be like one after. I think a lot of it just comes to the perception of what it is, right? People say, oh, I'm going to the gym. They think lifting weights and building muscle, and again, but. So if you're saying, okay, I don't want to get too bulky. I want to, tone. Okay, well, what is toning?
What does that mean? Yeah.
What does that mean? So you look at, okay, there again, this is just the common language. So for us as coaches, like we talk about, we have to educate and help educate and kind of break down these barriers. So what are those barriers? So a lot of common things might be, well, with women, they say, I don't want to get too bulky. I want to be toned. Like, so then we have to just, what is the synonym for what they're saying? What is the dissection of that language? Toning. It's like, okay, well, they want to have muscle and less fat, right? So, okay, great. So they don't want to get too bulky. They don't want to have this overarching, like
enormous
veiny,
traps and shoulders,
right? So, okay. So then you're talking about bodybuilding, which is again, you're training to muscular fatigue and failure to have hypertrophy or increased muscle tissue, right?
Welcome to Iron Performance Center, Niagara's home for real personal and performance training. We're a community obsessed with building durable, explosive, game-ready humans. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just training that works. From athletes chasing scholarships, to pros chasing championships, to regular people who just want to feel strong, move well, and stay built for real life. If you're willing to work, you're our people. Our system is simple: smart programming, elite coaching, and a culture that pushes you to levels you didn't know you had. With modern technology and principles-based programming, we track your progress, teach you movement skills, and give you every tool you need to perform when it matters most in whatever arena you call home. Iron Performance Center, because performance matters.
So then you look at toning and you want to say bodybuilding or getting shredded, right? At the common denominator is less fat, more muscle tissue, right? Okay, great. So then essentially it's training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the common denominator, it's like, what is the physiological, what at the cellular level, what is happening? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, men and women biologically are very different, right? Both have testosterone, but obviously we know males primarily have a high level of testosterone compared to women. My response to most women is like, okay, I get you don't want to get bulky, but there are men who
actively
trying to get bulky
and they are struggling.
it's like
yourself included, you know, like myself included,
right? So it is hard to gain lean mass to that point where you're getting shredded. The stereotypical image I think most people have. So then it's like, well, that's like saying I don't want to learn to play the piano. I'm afraid to be like Beethoven. I'm afraid to learn to drive a car.
Putting my fingers on the keys will make me an artist automatically.
Yeah, it's like I'm afraid to get behind the wheel of a car for fear of becoming a NASCAR driver. And you're just like, okay, right? Again,
that's a real fear.
Right? But so it's like when you start to parallel, like you kind of dissect it. I think it's just finding the common denominator of all these different like terms and conceptions and being like, okay, like me and Marcy were having a conversation today about like diets, for example. We're like, you know, joking around from diets like 5-6 years ago. Because I remember, you know, there's still probably a thing, right? Like you had the keto, paleo. You had, I don't know, carnivore. I don't really know what other ones are, like fasting, intermittent, fasting and everything else like that. So it's like people are like kind of married to these diets, right? Like they're married to these things. Like, oh, I'm on the keto diet, or like, and you know what the funny thing is? What keto diet is? Remember the Atkins diet? It's the same shit, right? So then you're like, okay, all these different diets, and you're like, well, why don't you just eat a whole food balanced thing? Like, no, I'm on the keto diet. I'm losing weight on the keto diet. Oh, I'm fasting. And it's like, okay, yeah, you probably are, because then if you take all these diets, you put them on you put them on a chart. What's the common denominator of all these diets?
If you're trying to lose weight, just caloric deficit, man.
They're all. The base denominator is a caloric deficit. It doesn't matter how you get there. That's the common denominator. That's the factor.
There's been so many people talking about that. If you can just stick to that one thing, there's been so many people that actually lose weight eating whatever they want as long as they stick to that one thing. If they just eat fewer calories than they are, eating less calories than they're expending, they're going to lose weight.
So now diving down that rabbit hole, okay? Because now you have people that, again, they have the fitness watches, everything else. By the way, there's a lot of cool fitness like tech going out there now. But again, keep in mind that there's a lot of variability. So I'll say this. People are like tracking their workouts on their watch. Like, okay, I burned like 200 calories and everything else like that. So it's not a lot. I'm like, okay, but if you look at your total caloric expenditure in a day, right? Your workout accounts for this much, but that's not the prime caloric expenditure. That's a fraction. And it's supposed to be a fraction. Like, what is the bulk of caloric expenditure?
Just run the machine.
Is the basal metabolic rate, right? Your resting basal metabolic rate. Pretty much like 70% or so, again, my numbers are probably off, but like let's say 2/3 to 3/4 of the pie of your expenditure is literally just functioning.
Just keeping the lights on.
Keeping the lights on, functioning, like filtering air, processing brain, like your brain processing decisions, things that are autonomic in nature.
That is flowing through your body, takes energy.
That is the bulk of your expenditure, right? So people are like, well, okay, like if I'm working out, it's only burning 200 calories in a workout approximately, but my watch says, you know, it's not enough. I got to be doing the other things.
So I got to do 7 hours of workouts today. That is
insane. It's like, okay, let's back it up a step. It's like, yes, but if the bulk of your expenditure is going to be based on your resting metabolic rate, like your machine just operating, right? What's going to increase the rate of your machine operating? It's going to be training. Why? It's like, okay, like generally speaking, by training, you're adding stress, lean muscle mass. Like over time, you're increasing the efficiency of your machine, right? Like you add more lean mass, that's more muscle tissue, that needs more fuel, that needs more innervation, so on and so forth. You're adding more tissue that is aesthetically pleasing, right? And also good, but it also requires more to burn. So it's like, yes, you only burn 200 calories every workout that you do in a week, right? Let's say you're doing like 3 or 4 workouts in a week.
Sure.
200 calories, like 800 calories in a week, nothing. But over time, the effect of the tissue itself evolving, your body adapting and your body evolving, becoming a bigger machine, right? Like it's almost like you're replacing an engine, right? You're getting a bigger engine. Bigger engine requires more oil, more fuel. It costs more to run the machine.
And more efficient fuel as well.
Yeah, so you're putting high grade now into a Ferrari engine that's bigger. So it's like higher fuel cost, higher oil cost, like higher running machine, which increases, obviously, paralleling it back now to the physiology, that's a bigger machine that needs more energy just to operate on a day-to-day basis. Right? So it's like by training and doing all these things, you're actually improving your basal metabolic rate, where it's actually probably going to expend more energy just doing the things it needs to do to function.
Right.
That's the ticket. You know what I mean? That's the ticket. These things compound. It's the afterburn, the quote unquote afterburn effect and everything else. It's like, well, no, it's your body adjusting to a higher caloric need. And so the machine, so it burns more calories just by functioning versus if you're sedentary. Because your body your body loves to be in homeostatic state, right? Your body does not like change. It adapts to what its norm is, right? So if you sit and do nothing, right, your body adjusts to nothing. That's why if you start exercising, your body's like, oh shit. Like if I had never ran in my life and I get up tomorrow and I just run 1 kilometer, I'm gonna be butchered. My body's like, shit. Like I'm in this deteriorative state, like, oh my God, I wasn't ready for this. Your body has to adapt. And like, okay, well, next time I do this, it's going to hurt less. Why? Because I'm going to adapt, right? So all of a sudden you do run 1K again and again. It's like, okay, this doesn't hurt as much anymore to do. So now you run 1.5. Like, oh, body wasn't prepared for that. So it has to adapt. It's no different like functioning day to day. When you're hot, what happens? Your body has to change state. So it starts to sweat because it wants to come back to a homeostatic state. You get cold, you shiver. Why? It wants to bring it back to a homeostatic state. Your body will adapt to fluctuations in its everyday life and demand because it wants to go back to a homeostatic state. You're essentially trying to change your homeostatic state to now function at a higher level than it used to before. That you're trying to make your new norm from here to up here. Yeah. Essentially.
I do like that kind of definition and understanding of a homeostatic state because I always had people wondering and asking why it's so much harder for a larger person to lose weight or for a skinny person to gain weight, because your body will want to burn the amount of energy it thinks it needs to maintain that homeostatic state. So when you're trying to change that, your body will try and resist it to bring it back to a baseline that it knows it needs, or actively trying to change that, which is hard, but that's
hard.
Yeah.
It is hard because, like you said, it wants to come back to what's normal is. So you're trying to adjust the normal, which is why we always say like the adherence, the consistency, the process are going to be more important. It's going to take time, right? Like you're not going to see results. Like I think people overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long term because it takes longer than you think to actually see results, right? Now the things you might notice right away is like you just feel a little bit better, maybe things hurt a little less, you might have a little more energy. Those are all great things. But if you're talking
better, maybe.
And those are all going to compound, right? Because now you're building confidence and adherence, and you have more energy to do the things you want to do, which is great. But if you're looking at aesthetically, talking aesthetics, right? We tend to, as humans, focus on our own things that we don't like.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're a guy or something like that, and you're like, let's say you're in pretty good shape, but you might say, like, oh, I want to lose like this, little muffin top thing on the side here. Right. But that's something only you would notice because you see yourself every day and you're always trying to pinpoint, you're looking at the things you don't like. No one else really notices that from a psychological standpoint, right? What's going to happen first is people are going to notice a change in you before you notice a change in you because you see yourself every day. If you see your buddy, let's say you see your buddies once a month or your girlfriends once a month. Next month you see them again, like, oh, wow, you look different. They go, oh, wow, they know it's changed because they haven't seen you in a month, but you see yourself every day. So you don't think you're changing or you don't think things are changed, but really people are going to notice a change before you do because that's the psychological aspect. Right. So tying it back to your point where we always want to go back to a homeostatic state because there's a lot of resistance. Your body's going to give you some resistance,
100%.
Right? Maybe like physically, right? Like it feels sore, it feels beat out, you get tired. That's your body like, it's not necessarily resisting the change. It's just not used to the change. So It's like it needs time to adjust to the change. The point is you keep showing up regardless of that factor.
Exactly.
The second factor going to hinder you is the mental side of things. You are aware this is uncomfortable. You are aware that you're not getting the results right away. You're essentially like trying to convince yourself, remind yourself, like I'm literally training and my body, putting myself in like a in a catabolic state.
Stress, yeah, okay.
In a catabolic state, right? I'm not going to see results right away. Like I'm doing this thing, I'm not going to feel good right away, right? So you're in your head, you start talking, you're like, man, what the hell is like this? Damn, I got to do this again tomorrow, next day. It's like, yes, you do.
Yep.
Yes, you do, right? It's not like the feel good stuff because again, people like things that feel good and that they make them feel good right away. But we know that in the training side of things and fitness, you know, there's going to have to be a time and commitment to it, and that's why, you know, like this is like it's like fitness and health is validation you can't buy. It's a psychological validation you can't buy, right? Like let's say you go out there and buy a fancy car, right? You're borrowing credibility from.
You feel good the moment you buy it.
You feel good, right? Like you think people look at you like, wow, look at that person in a fancy car, right? So I call those things your borrowing credibility, right? You buy a Ferrari, ooh, wow, this guy's got to have it going on. You're borrowing validation from something that you can purchase. But fitness and health and good body and good aesthetics, that's something you can't borrow. Like that is earned. You see someone who is taking care of themselves, has energy, and actually like looks, fit. They didn't buy that.
They know it had to take work.
They earned that. They put in work on their own to do that. Like if someone's losing weight or they're, building a better physique, you're like, that's earned. You can't buy that and just fake it. I guess you can if you want to buy, fake butt implants or fake abs,
you want to get your body medically adapted, then yeah, sure.
But for the most part, you're like, you can't buy that. Like,
I guarantee you that would not feel as good though. Like you look at yourself in the mirror, be like, yeah, I bought it. It looks cool, but
well, it's like buying clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to buy a Versace T-shirt. It's like, okay, but people see a T-shirt, but they might say, oh, it's a Versace T-shirt, but it's still a T-shirt, right? That's borrowing credibility. You buy a nice watch, it's borrowing credibility. Right, and that's why there's things that you earn. You're like, wow, like I earned that. Like no one can take that from you because you did everything to earn that thing, right? Like, and that's why when you see people in good shape, it's almost like you have a higher level of respect. And that's not saying you don't respect everyone. My point being is like you tend to look at someone who is in better shape and say, wow, like you psychologically get gravitated towards they must almost not really like a status thing, but you have a higher level of you're more inclined to listen to what they have to say, and you have a higher like level of respect for them because you know that just from aesthetics, you're like, wow, that person must have done. They're at least committed to something.
Yeah, at least, especially if you've experienced the amount of work it does take yourself. Like, let's say you've begun in the gym, you try doing it, you're on that path, you know how hard they had to work to get there.
Exactly, right? So when you see guys, like, even our own setting, like, look at Rovember, it's a great example, right? Like, I'm no guy on the erg, but it's like, I always had respect for rowers. I'm like, man, that's hard. I trained a lot of rowers. That's a really hard thing to do. And then you go through it again and again yourself, like, man, like, this is tough. And you have a newfound respect. Like, man, I get it. I have a better understanding. Like, you guys are working hard. You guys are workhorses, man. Like, I have a little bit of understanding of what you're going through. I get it. You know what I mean? So you see people that come through our doors and like they working hard. And like, man, this is great. Like, look at that. Like, look what what you're capable of doing.
And then it comes down to more what they look like or what you can see. It's like what they actually perform and do. Like, oh my God, this guy's got 200 kilos on his back. He's doing that. I've lifted some heavy weight.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
That is freaking hard.
Yeah,
man.
that took time.
Work,
that took some time to get there, right? Yeah. Like, and that could be at the smallest win, like just someone pushing a sled for the first time. Like, wow, yeah, I get it. That's hard, and you did that.
Yeah.
I mean, even it's like, hey, you're pushing a sled with one plate on it for 10 yards. Someone's like, man, that's hard. It's like, yeah, you're right. That is hard. I get it. Good for you.
You can even find that respect knowing that's where you came from. The first time you ever did a sled, man, doing that the first time is so hard.
Exactly. But doing it like you said, the first time we ever walked in the gym, maybe we were young or something like that, you're like, oh, it was scary. Yeah, of course, but you showed up, you did it. Look at you. Like, you should celebrate that, right? Like, I think that's another big tip I give people is like celebrate the wins, like in the smallest form possible, right? Like celebrate the wins. Find a win in every training session. Not every day is gonna be perfect. You're not gonna set records every day. Knowing what you know about that, this takes time. The process it takes. You have to find the wins in every session, every appointment, find the wins, right?
That'd be the true key to consistency right there.
Because you can't just, you have a North Star, but you can't just get so focused, like I have to hit the North Star every day. It's like, no, it's going to be a journey. So it's like, find the wins along the path that's getting to your North Star. Hey, I showed up today when I really didn't want to. That is a win. Celebrate that because 90% of people didn't show up today and you did. And I understand how hard that is because, again, like you said, we've done that. Like, we've shown up when you didn't want to all the time. You did. It's like, I understand. I can empathize with that. And you did it. So let's celebrate that. And then as soon as you walk in, you're going to get something done today. You're going to be better today,
right? In
some regard.
Right. Car broke down. You rescheduled that training session. You found a way. That's a
win, right? That's a win. So you may not set records today, but you're going to get work done. That's 1% better than you did. That's 1% more you wouldn't have done, right? So I think celebrating the win. So I think like it's a lot of the education component, right? You're trying to break down these barriers. You're trying to help educate people, and I think, it doesn't always have to be about athletics and sport, right? I think a lot of the, believe it or not, like a lot of the concepts and quality you try to build for sport are literally like parallel to just everyday life and well-being. I think the overall like why train? What is the number one reason in my mind to train is going to be health.
Right.
I think it's going to be health, and they don't get it twisted now. Performance, confidence, all that thing. But this all kind of falls under that umbrella, if you want to call it that, because at some point in sport, we're all going to hang up our shoes. We're going to retire.
Right.
You're still got like a long life ahead of you to focus on your health and make that a priority.
Whether it's after high school, after like 20
Anything,
years of pro. Like,
health, because a lot of the qualities that are going to lead to longevity are purposeful training. It's like, hey, you should improve your power. Well, it's like a sport thing. Well, why is it just sport? It's like, well, when you get into your senior age, it's like you lose like 70% of your power on average. And power is your ability to like, hey, I have to get up from a chair. I have to, if there's like I trip on something, I have to catch myself when I fall. You should be capable to respond, and your body can handle it. It has enough capacity and capability to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yes, you should train power, right? Like low level plyometrics, right? Like, ballistic stuff, throwing something, catching something. That's athletic training, right? Yeah. Like our athletes learn how to bear crawl. They learn how to do all these little animal crawls, like almost like playground bullshit, if you want to call it that. But like that's good for adults for health. Why? It's like you're putting yourself in awkward positions and controlling your body throughout. You're learning how to get spatially aware. You're coordinating. Those are all good things for health in general, right? Like a lot of athletic training qualities parallel health and well-being and just general fitness, right? Like athletes should also think about body composition and like adding lean mass. Why? It's like, well, you have more tissue. That's more armor you're building to handle force, but also produce force. Mm-hmm. Like it's the same shit.
You know what I mean? People out there like wondering, oh, why am I doing this bear crawl? Why am I doing these weird hangs? Well, like life is really unpredictable. As much as we can't really reproduce the actions of life in here, we can like simply squat and hinge and all that kind of thing. If we're able to recognize awkward movements and load them, that'd be that much more prepared for those awkward movements outside these walls.
I agree. And I think if you look at the sport realm, it's like, yeah, you're putting yourself, the whole point of like, I would call it exploratory movement is just that. It's putting yourself in awkward positions and seeing if you could handle it. Like, can you stabilize yourself? Can your grip hold it? Right? Can you actually move your body? And that sometimes they'll point out to me points like, actually, I can't move my hips this way. I can't twist my ribs over this way. You're like, oh, well, that's something we can actually work on that might help you because now you're more mobile, you're more aware, you're patterning yourself differently. That's the whole point of doing awkward things, right? And again, that's in addition to the fundamentals where you can actually focus on output-driven metrics that are going to improve your strength, your power, your speed, your muscle mass, all those things, right? So it's like, but my point being is like there's this umbrella of training where it's like, okay, like yes, performance and body comp and overall fitness. It's like, yeah, but it comes down to like just being more healthy. If you train athletic qualities, you're probably more likely to be more healthy.
100%.
Right? It's a direct parallel. And I think this is where debunking those misconceptions, like, well, I don't want to train like an athlete. Like, I'm not an athlete. It's like, you have
what do you think an athlete is?
What do you think an athlete is? I think we talked about this on one of the episodes before. It's like, what do you think an athlete is? Mm-hmm. It really, if the fundamental, what is the common denominator of being an athlete? You have a goal or a task that requires physical exertion to complete. So you're training to complete the physical task or tasks repeatedly. If your North Star is like, well, I want to be able to like play with my kids and play rec soccer. Like I'm not really an athlete. I just like to go play pickup soccer. Okay, well then that's a task that requires physical exertion. We are training you like an athlete.
Congratulations, you are an athlete.
Right? Yeah. It's like, hey, I just want to be able to like shovel snow. It might seem mundane. It's like I just want to look good, right? And I want to be able to like go to work and not have my back hurt. It's okay. Well, then you need physical exertion, right? I say exertion, but like you need physical qualities to sustain that.
Right.
So you're training like an athlete. So it's like, and I get it, like the messaging and everything else, it's usually, okay, I don't want to train like an athlete. It's like, but really what the common denominator, the fundamental root of it is going to be just the qualities of physicality, right? And you train those qualities because they are very transferable to all these different domains. And really what's going to be the difference from like sport and everything else is just modifying the intent and execution or the dosage of said variables to get closer to the specific common objective. That's it.
When you think about like a lot of people that wouldn't really dub themselves an athlete, and let's say they get hurt, it's usually not in a functional or or reproducible movement. It's like when you had to reach awkwardly on the other side of the cupboard, and they overextend themselves, and that tweaks something accidentally. Like it's never really when you're performing a strict, strong squat and something goes wrong. It's usually in those super awkward movements that you're unprepared for because you didn't think yourself to be training that way.
Shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like guys pull their back, buckling their seatbelt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like things go wrong. But again, like if you sprain your ankle in volleyball or you sprain your ankle stepping off the curb, it's still a sprained ankle. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or non-athlete.
Yeah.
The process is the same, right? The whole point is like you're trying to just build physical capacity to hopefully mitigate the risk. Like, can your body sustain? And again, it's just gonna go wrong, but can your body be more capable of handling it, right? Like, if I'm gonna sprain my ankle, can I, delay it happening because like my body can handle it? Or if it does happen, can I reduce the severity of it because my body is physically capable of handling more stress in an awkward position, right? Again, shit will still happen, but maybe you can delay it happening or just reduce the timeline of recovery because you're physically able to. So it's like at the fundamental, I think it's because everyone has different names for things, like whether you're doing Pilates, whether you're doing HIIT training, whether you're doing CrossFit, whether you're doing high rocks. What is the common denominator of all these different things that you're like? What is your North Star and what's the common denominator of getting there? Right? It's this physical qualities for exertion or output, right? And then inputs to produce more outputs. And then you just go from there. And then how you use those qualities and organize it to then make it fit the person, not the other way around. And then also make it, somewhat adherable. Like, is it enjoyable enough where they can do it again? Right. And that doesn't mean you have to make everything fun, but, having some things that they can stick to. That is and then you just stack it from there. At the fundamental level, that's what training is. And it's not like, I'm a CrossFit guy. I'm this girl. I do higher. It's like, that's all great. You enjoy those things. Keep doing those things. Right?
If you like it, sure.
And it works for you. Fantastic. Right? And then just maybe have a deeper understanding of like, at the fundamental level, what am I doing that's making me feel good about it? Or I'm noticing a change in my body. What am I doing that's leading to this change? Right? It's focusing on all these qualities, right? That can adjust concurrently, whether it be cardiovascular fitness, muscle tissue, everything else like that. You know what I mean? Like there are a ton of different misconceptions. Like, I wouldn't even say misconceptions, just perceptions of what we do.
Yeah, a better way to put it.
You know what I mean? And everyone's it's just training, man. It's literally just training. You want to gain size, you're training. You want to lose weight, you're training. You want to get toned, quote unquote, you're training.
You're more athletic, you're training.
That's right, you're training. It's all training. It's all just training, you know what I mean? And what's the difference between training and working out? Training is a purposefully systematic, monitored process that has a plan, right? That we are trying to get closer to a goal. Whereas working out can be defined as more random, like I'm gonna go to the gym and just bench today. Okay, well that wasn't
see what's there, see what's open, and
see what's open, just do something. Which again, not bad, but again, if we're trying to like level up some things,
if you have the right goal, then it might be a little bit easier to find a path there if you're training and not just working out.
I would tell anyone, just write everything down. Write everything down. Like we have pen and paper. Everyone writes everything down. Why? Because you need to have a record of not only what you've done, but where you want to go and some reference point that you can gauge how to get there. You know what I mean? Because again, even when we draw plans up, it's like, okay, people have probably, for stacking week, block 4, block 5 on there. It's like, okay, we probably have like 2 or 3 blocks in there. We've done some similar things. We have a reference point that's okay, we're going to do this again. Like, let's look back, we did before. And then, okay, we have a better gauge of what to do here. And then here's how we can progress it. So it's like, it's crazy. Like 95% of people get better results and have a higher adherence to fitness and training just by writing it down.
Right.
It really is common sense stuff. Like because you have a plan, you have a record of it happening, you're more likely to stick to it. It's that simple. It's no different than how you train like an appointment. Right? You put it in your calendar, it's written down.
Yeah.
It's there. You're more likely to adhere to it versus I may or may not, like, oh yeah, come by whenever. You should go to the gym whenever you want. Whenever means never.
It's just making it needlessly hard on yourself,
Really, it is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's but that's just how people are sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a reality that we're constantly going to be trying to help educate on. So, but it is what it is. So, yeah, a lot of random talks. I
don't even know what we call this one. What do we call this one, guys?
we just went from like frigid months of January to what was it?
Stay that. I don't know. How do we even find our way through this one? From frigid months, then we went to.
I'm very curious how the chapters in this one are going to be.
Find a way to get it done, and then like
just get it done.
small wins, and then like do what you can. I don't know.
Just hey, just do something.
It went from you have to get it done to hey, do something.
Don't get twisted.
Whatever your standard is.
Don't get twisted. Do something, get it done. Just do something and then get it done.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's not a bad name. Do
Yeah.
something, get it done.
Do something, get it done. All right, yeah, we'll call it an episode.
Yeah, sure.
We'll call it an
Sure,
episode. All right, guys, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, whatever your platform of choice is, we're on it. And of course, subscribe. Right, like there's some cool people in our group, and there's two types of people. You're a subscriber, non-subscriber, and why would you not be a subscriber when you can stay in the loop with all the cool people? You know what I mean? So get the latest and greatest to our newsletter and all those awesome automations that have a whole bunch of tips, tricks, and fun things along the way. And of course, like and share with your friends. Right? We're a local podcast. We're trying to have awesome guests, have awesome conversations, and we want to hear from you guys. What do you guys want to know more about? Let us know. We're always there for it. So, we're gonna keep this train going here. So that's it for this episode, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Peace.